जॉईन लगेच होऊन ऑडिओ म्यूट कर. सगळे लोक ऑलरेडी जॉईन झाले, मग कोट वगैरे घालत बस, कारण मग एकदम फुल होईल. एकदा जॉईन होऊन मग
गुड मॉर्निंग आरजी सर.
Hello.
Hi, I have joined.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Ankuruddham Kalyanam.
Audible, sir.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Sir, good morning.
sir.
Morning. I'll just wear my headphones. One sec.
Yes, madam.
Hello. Hello.
Samir, Neelam is not able to join the Zoom. She's saying she's getting unable to join. Can you just look at it?
Madam, I just sent here the total link also.
Okay. So, Neelam, Samir has just sent you the link. Sure. I'll send that. Yeah. So, Samir is sending you the link. You can join. Yeah. If you have any problem, ring us again. Okay. She's joining through a laptop. She had joined through
Okay.
a mobile. Now she's
Okay.
joining through a laptop.
Okay.
Has Asha Benakappa joined?
Yes. She
Okay.
joined.
Okay. So welcome, Asha. Welcome, Soumya.
Thank you.
We have kept a backup of your PPT in case there's any problem.
Okay, great. I just checked and the sharing seemed to be working. So let's hope.
Good. Look forward to all of your speaking.
Very good morning, Dr. Swati ji.
Hello, Indrashekhar Rao. Welcome.
Greetings from us. It's very honor right to attend to this lecture. Thank you very much.
We all are honored that you have joined.
Thank you.
Good morning, Swati Madam.
Who's speaking? Let me just see on the screen.
Good morning, Dr. Soumya, Asha Madam, and everyone. It's such a wonderful day today.
Hi, Preeti.
Madam.
It's difficult to see so many people on the screen. So whoever's talking, please identify your name. Hi, Neelam.
I was trying to join from laptop, but getting stuck to join from the good morning, everybody.
But you're clearly seen and your audio is also good, so no problem.
Great. So it's on the phone.
Yeah.
I'll just put it on a nice place.
Yeah.
We will start in next 2 minutes.
Yeah. I'm trying to pin Asha Benakappa. I can't see her. 1 minute. Can one of you pin her? Samir, Sandeep? Prashant, Sandeep? Can you pin Asha? I'm not able to see her. Yeah.
नहीं है वापस निकल गया लगता है मैम
हाँ वो just निकल गया. I think iPhone is of us.
I'll just phone. Anybody has Asha's phone or shall I phone?
I'll call ma'am. I'll call.
Okay, just call. Welcome, Anuradha Sovani, our first orator, Dr. Lele Oration. Welcome.
And I've had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Soumya speak, so I'm just looking forward to it once again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll welcome whoever I see. Chitra Kulkarni, Satish Agarwal, Vikram Kumar, Sudhakar, Dev Jidula. We have Devan Shah, our AACCI youth coordinator, who's going to be backup for Samir in case there's a problem. Welcome, Devansh.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. I welcome my family, my son Ajinkya, daughter-in-law Sujata, our chairman Mr. Bhave, my brother Vikram Lele.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Hi RG, thanks for coming in spite of the marriage in your family. Welcome Dr. Vishwas, Ramesh Banjania, Aryan Sharma. Asha, you have joined back. I'm putting you on a pin.
Good morning, Swati ma'am.
Hi. Prashant, can you? Yeah. Yeah, so I put all the speakers on the pin and our team on the pin. Okay.
Madam, can we start now?
Sure. Go ahead.
So, dear friends, very good evening and welcome to the one of the most prestigious event of the AACCI, and it's a really annual event now, and it's a 60 years of Dr. R.D. Lele Oration. With my co-MOC Dr. Sandeep Kavde, Dr. Prasant Karia, and our host Dr. Mr. Yashwant Bhave, Dr. Swati Bhave, and Mrs. Salmila Lele, we welcome you all in this prestigious event. As per our rituals, we are starting our program with the lamp lighting to get the grace of the God.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
So, as our rituals and in rituals, any academic event, we usually start with a good Saraswati Vandana, and now we will also complete the Saraswati Vandana that will be by Dr. Mrs. Jayshree Rande from Pune, Knights of Dr. R.D. Lele.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रामृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभुदिभिर् देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय विघ्न हरण सुखकारक हे जय विघ्न हरण सुखकारक हे जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश जय मूषक वाहन एकदंत जय मूषक वाहन एकदंत पार्वती शिव सुत मोदक प्रिय हे जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश लंबोदर गजमुख
So now it's time to formal welcome by our chairman, Mr. Yashwant Bhave. I just share his recorded presentation and then sir will comment.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to address you on the occasion of the 6th Dr. Lele Oration. I am honored today to welcome Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who will deliver the oration. She is a scientist par excellence, as was her father, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. While working in the Government of India in the areas of food, consumer affairs, and agriculture, his work has always inspired and guided us. Late Dr. Manmohan Singh held him in very high regard and esteem. I am pleased to welcome our chief guest, Dr. Neelam Mohan, the chairperson of the Indian Academy of Pediatrics. She has excelled in pediatric gastroenterology and hepatology. I welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Asha Benakappa, a veteran in the area of pediatrics and head of department at the prestigious Chandrama Dayananda Sagar Institute of Medical Education and Research. My father-in-law, Dr. Lele, blended scholarship with empathy, excellence with extension. A teacher par excellence, he has touched the hearts of his patients, colleagues, and students alike. Many have been surprised by his multifaceted personality, erudition, and varied interests. He was always at ease with diverse fields, be it in the areas of different branches of medicine, poetry, sports, or politics. Striking work-life balance with ease and felicity, he always led through example. Dr. Lele is not with us anymore, yet his life's blessings and message and inspiration will remain with us. He will always inspire and guide us. In that sense, though we shall miss him, he will always be with us. Maybe, therefore, he breathed his last as if saying, कि हमारे सांसें ठहर गई तो तुम्हारे दिल को मलाल क्यों है? हमारी सांसें ठहर गई तो तुम्हारे दिल को मलाल क्यों है? यही रहे हैं, यही रहेंगे, बस आज हम घर बदल रहे हैं. I welcome all the participants for these orations. Thank you very much for your patience.
Sir Yashwant Bhave, sir, over to you.
Yashwant, you can unmute.
Thank you, Swati and Samir. I don't have much to say except also putting another couplet. Dr. Lele was completely intrepid in what he did or said, not unduly encumbered by the likely consequences. He took each moment as it came. In fact, I was reminded, he used to say, पर तुम जिस लम्हे में जिंदा हो, ये लम्हा तुमसे जिंदा है. ये वक्त फिर नहीं आएगा, तुम अपनी करनी कर गुजरो. जो होगा वो देखा जाएगा. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And after the formal welcome, now it's time to give the few quick introduction of the AACCI with a very things that will be related with the today's occasion. As AACCI National Coordinator, I have the privilege to give a quick introduction of AACCI. AACCI means Association of Adolescent and Childcare in India was registered in 2007 and launched in 2008 in Mumbai at the hands of their MP Milind Deora in presence of Sheriff of Mumbai Indu Sahani. There was a release of AACCI publication FAQs for parents. There was a public program on prevention of lifestyle diseases followed by workshop on life skill education for students and parenting skill for parents. Our mission is holistic health of children, adolescents and young adults through the two pillars of their life, parents and teachers. We had added one more pillar of grandparents from 2020. We promote healthy lifestyle to prevent NCDs. We are a group of doctors including pediatricians and physicians of all specialty, including the mental health professionals. We also have volunteers from all stakeholders of child and adolescent health, like parents, teachers, lawyers, sports physiotherapists, and research scientists. We do mainly urban-based work with parents, teachers, and students in school and colleges. We have recently started the tribal projects. Key people in our board of directors are Chairperson Mr. Yashwant Bhave, Executive Director Dr. Swati Bhave, and Secretary cum Treasurer Mrs. Sarmina Lele. Dr. Samir Shah is National Coordinator and Dr. Surekha Joshi is our Research Coordinator. We have our own registered ethical committee also. Our 4 forums including youth, parents, teachers and grandparents, which are headed by 4 senior pediatricians including Dr. Prashant Karya, Dr. Sandeep Kavde, Dr. Sailja Mane and Dr. Kamlakar Devgare. We have 12 centers including 7 city and 5 regional centers and an international forum with a well-established hierarchy and protocols. We have a well-established media presence on Facebook and Instagram. We have 2 websites, www.acci.in and www.accitrainingprograms.com, focusing and giving all the details related to AACCI. We have no membership fee and anyone can join as volunteer and work with AACCI if acceptable by the volunteer committee. We have over 250 volunteers from different parts of the India working actively for AACCI with their status review annually. AACCI's work focus on community awareness activity at school, colleges and public forums. We are doing workshops for the students, teachers and parents on common problems like NCD prevention, anger management, growth and development of children, life skill approach for holistic health. We are doing academic activity and enrich the knowledge of all stakeholders of child health, including pediatricians, teachers, parents, grandparents, in online as well as physical platforms. Collaborative efforts with other agencies working in the field of child health like NAVA, D.Y. Patil Medical College, Jahangir Hospital in Pune, Wellness Center, Lesson Center, HIA, NCD Alliance of India, Baby Cloud, Women Pediatric Platform are few of them. We focus on with a special community-oriented activity and theme to help our adolescent and young adults. Our international forum is also actively doing webinars focused on global issues of children. AACCI is known for its structured educational program like life skill education, ABC module of anger management. We have a few annual activities including Dr. R.D. Lele Oration in month of January, AACCI Week celebration in July, and International Adolescent Health Week in October, or as per the dates given for the International Forum. With the help of our research committee and with the support of the Internal Ethical Committee of AACCI, we are doing adolescent and young oriented research and publishing in reputed journals. Our volunteers also presenting in different national and international conferences and won many prizes. We have active youth forum doing the activity and peer education program under the guidance of senior volunteers. We are inviting all the like-minded people who want to work for AACCI voluntarily as AACCI volunteer to join our common mission of holistic health of our children. Thank you. Now it's time to introduce our beloved Dr. R.D. Lele by our Executive Director, Dr. Swati Bhave.
Good morning, everybody. It is my proud privilege to introduce our AACCI chairman, Padmabhushan Awardee, Dr. R.D. Lele. It is not easy to condense into a few slides the 94-year journey of Dr. Lele. So the full PPT has been loaded on the AACCI website, and today I will be showing a few glimpses. I have been associated with Dr. Lele in 3 capacities. I have been very proud and privileged to be his daughter and receive his parenting. I have also been a student at Grand Medical College when he was Professor of Medicine and the Dean. And for the last 15 years, he's been guiding us as the chairman for AACCI. Dr. Lele did his MBBS from Osmania University, and he studied all the textbook in English but wrote in Urdu, and that's why he's very proficient in Urdu Shairi. He went to England and did his MRCP and DTMH after working in a village called Gangapur near Hyderabad because he had to make the finances for going there. And in 1967, he did a fellowship of nuclear medicine in Canada, and he left the lucrative offer which he got at Canada saying, you will get many people in nuclear medicine for Canada, but I have come here to set up nuclear medicine in my country and I should go back. And he's known as a pioneer or father of nuclear medicine and has set up nuclear medicine departments in many medical colleges in the country and the state-of-art nuclear medicine department at Jaslok. He was holding positions of Dean JJ, Director Jaslok, in charge of the nuclear medicine at Lilavati Hospital, and many, many more. Those who really want to know about his inspiring life journey can see his autobiography, Pursuit of Excellence, which is available both in English and in Marathi. And it was released by API in 2010. And the Marathi version was released 2 years later. At 93 years, he had the privilege of having his book release of History of Medicine in India by the Center Council for Research and Ayurvedic Sciences, Ministry of Ayush. The book was released by Rajiv Kumar, Vice Person Niti Aayog, in the august presence of Sri Kiren Rijiju, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and MOS for Ayush. This is not available in print copy, but those who are interested can contact me. I can share the PDF. Some of his awards, there's a huge list. Honorary degree of Doctor of Science, Homi Bhabha Awards, APA Association of Physicians Award, Lifetime Achievement Award from Nuclear Medicine. And the picture of he receiving Padmabhushan and the Dhanvantari Award. A lot of recognitions and working with VIPs around the country. The Vishwanathan's National Excellent Award in Medicine for teaching and medical care. And this is on his 80th, 90th birthday, where we had kept a collage of all his books on a table. There is no subject which Dr. Lele has not covered. Computers in medicine, nuclear medicine, clinical approach and clinical research, which has gone into 4th edition. Books on ancient Indian medicine. He's one of the few allopathic doctors who respected ancient medicine and talked to the Ayurveda and the homeopathy and wrote books on it. He tried very hard to bring them on board to do evidence-based trials, but unfortunately that did not work out. He also was very good in the legal aspects and have written books for medical profession and the law. 2 of these were published by the Rotary. He was a very well-known Rotarian, getting the Paul Harris Award and distinguished awards in a lot of his Rotary activities. This is a picture of Grand Medical College 125th celebration, where Boman Irani came and addressed all of us in the famous Anatomy Hall, which was picturized in Mundabhai MBBS. And you can see me in the audience with my batchmates. And here Boman Irani and Dr. Lele interacting. He was not only just known for his academic excellence and lectures, but he was a very popular figure in social functions where his witty lectures and shairi were very much appreciated. And when forced by his students to come on the dance floor, he also enjoyed dancing. He was a complete man, as they say in Raymond's advertisements. And my mother, late Dr. Sunita Lele, Andha Ardhangini, and a life partner in every respect. And I remember that she went with my father to every conference of API and nuclear medicine, whether it was India and abroad. And that was the time I got a lesson how to balance your professional life and private life. Because Dr. Lele's birthday is on 16th January and mine on 26th January. And very often, if the dates clashed, we had to celebrate our birthday before or after the conference. And my mom has been there for us as an excellent mother model, which I try to emulate. And we have been blessed that though my mom passed away early, Dr. Lele is still with us at the age of 94. And here is the picture with his grandchildren and his great-granddaughter, and of course, all of us with our spouses. We celebrated his 80th birthday, where we could call most of his colleagues and students. And we also celebrated his 90th birthday, where we had his little great-granddaughter interact with him. We were looking forward to celebrate his centenary, but he went to his heavenly abode on 24th June 2023. This is a photo of Dr. Lele recording his message for the 2026 Oration. We at AACCI are taking his legacy forward. We have a AACCI Research Forum under Mr. Yashwant Bhave with active involvement of research coordinators. We will continue the annual oration, which was conceptualized by our chairperson, Yashwant Bhave. We had started the AACCI Week celebration every July in our 15th year in 2022 with a new theme every year. This was conceptualized by Dr. Samir Shah and helped by Sandeep Kaude and Prashant Karya. Thank you very much.
Over to you, madam.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, Samir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think everything has been covered, and all as I can say that we are really blessed to be born his daughter. And my brother Vikram and my sister, we had wonderful parenting, and that is why parenting is my passion. And I've been doing positive parenting coaching classes over the last 40 years. So just remembering him, and I'm sure he'll be, if there is a heaven, I'm sure he'll be looking up every time we have this oration and blessing us. You can go ahead, Samir.
Okay. So before we proceed for the today's oration, it's time to give some details about what are the past oration what we have with what are wonderful orators. Our first oration was in 2021 by the Dr. Anuradha Sovani on holistic health of children and young people with the role of the parents, teacher and grandparent. Our second one was by the on war against COVID by our Lieutenant General Madhuri Kanitkar Madam. Our third oration was on the medicine, a science of the health, not just a disease, by Dr. Y.K. Ambedkar sir. Fourth one was by Professor Dr. Anupam Sibbal sir on Can India become the Vishwa Guru in healthcare? Our last year oration by Dr. Ganga Khelkar sir on epidemic to pandemic, understanding the evolution. And that with now we having a today's oration of by Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. Before we go for the oration, it's now time to introduce the guest of the honor. Dr. Sandeep.
Thank you, Samir sir. Distinguished seniors, colleagues, and friends, it is a profound privilege to introduce our guest of honor for the 6th Padma Shri Dr. R.D. Lele Oration, a luminary who has dedicated over 4 decades to the cause of child health, Dr. Asha Benakappa. Dr. Benakappa is a figure of immense stature in pediatrics. Currently, the HOD of pediatrics of Dr. Chandrama Dayanand Sagar Institute of Medical Education and Research, and a former director at the Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health. She has shaped the landscape of medical education and patient care in Karnataka and beyond. However, her most defining legacy lies in her unwavering advocacy for breastfeeding. As a founder trustee of the Lactation Helpline and a task force member of the World Alliance for Breastfeeding Action, she has tirelessly championed the belief that breastfeeding is nature's most powerful gift. She has even authored the seminal book Breastfeeding, the Basic Instinct. Her excellence has been recognized globally and locally. She is a recipient of the prestigious FIP Award, the Doordarshan Chandana Award of 2012, and remarkably, the story she penned inspired the film Harivu, which won the 62nd National Film Award for Best Regional Film in 2015. With over 200 guest lectures, numerous international publications, and a career defined by the mission to demystify medicine for the common person, she is a true inspiration to us all. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming with a round of applause for our guest of honor, Dr. Asha Benakappa. Now we will have.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Sandeep. We are really privileged to have Asha as the guest of honor. Asha has been a very dear friend over the last many years, and she epitomized a mother figure. I really call her saintly, the amount of work she's doing for the community, and she has honored us by being the guest of honor. Samir, you can put her address.
For decades, I worked on breastfeeding. Breast milk has universalized mankind, and there is an urgent need to universalize breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is not just a health intervention, but a low-carbon climate resilient food system. Breast milk is nutrition security. It saves the planet. When breastfeeding fails, you create industrial demand with a measurable carbon, water, waste footprints across dairy production, processing, transport, packaging, distribution, preparation energy, and disposal. Some numbers: birth cohort is 26 million, Institutional deliveries are 88.6%, meaning 23.4 million births happen in the institution. Breastfeeding in the first hour, 63.7%, 16.5 million. At 6 months, it is 46.1%. That means 11.96 million out of 26 million babies are breastfed. An average Indian mothers secretes 346 liters of milk during the 2 years lactation period. Lack of breastfeeding skills in milk transfer is responsible for this immeasurable loss. Breastfeeding today is an endangered practice, though it is the most natural way to nurture the elixir of life. Breast milk is produced and delivered to the consumer without any pollution, packaging or waste. Breastfeeding has a positive effect on the environment. It is natural, renewable resource intended to be fed for babies. Not to use it is a waste of valuable resource, causing environmental degradation. Lactation-associated amenorrhea saves money and environment. When women do not menstruate, we save 3,000 tons of paper every year on sanitary products and fertility reduction measures. If we look at the dairy industry, we need 135 million lactating cows to replace the breast milk of the women in our country, and 43% of surface area is required for pasture. Soil erosion, increase in gases and greenhouse effect causes depletion of the ozone layer. Cows' gases, excreta further contribute to ozone depletion. And look at the maintenance of the dairy, the sickness of the cows, the milking has to be done by servants, collections are done in cans, and milk has to be transported, running costs and emission from vehicles. And as far as the dairy is concerned, you need to store them in plastic, glass or tin foils. Pasteurization of milk at high heat, packaging, distribution. Finally, when it reaches the parents have to prepare the feed, which requires fuel, cup, spoons, bottle. It's insult to injury. Endangers health, drains wealth. And if you look at the formula industry, the main ingredient is of course the animal milk, which is dried, milk powder, packaging, again tins, plastic, paper and cardboard. The distribution system, national, transport, national, international, then it has to be sent to shops, then promotions in domestic and overseas. Parents have to prepare the food, cup, spoon, bottles. Bottle-fed babies ingest 1 to 2 million microplastic per day. Boiling water, sterilization increases particulate shedding, which go into the milk and then to the baby. These are endocrine disrupting chemicals, have permanent effects in the window of maximum exposure and brain development. On daily basis, we hear issues on formula products due to potential contamination. I would like to quote Gabriel Palmer, the author of Politics in Breastfeeding. If a multinational company developed a food product that is nutritionally balanced and delicious, a wonder drug that both prevented and treated the disease cost almost nothing to produce and could be delivered in quantities controlled by the consumer needs, the very announcement of their product would send their shares rocketing to the top of the stock market. The wealth and influence of the scientists involved were increased dramatically, women have been producing such a miraculous substance, breast milk, since the beginning of human existence. I rest my case by stating that breast
Hello.
Hello. Ma'am, Bhave ma'am, you wanted to...
Yeah, I think Asha here so beautifully put the breast milk impact on the environment and how eco-friendly breast milk really is. Hands off to you. And I would like to pay homage to my mentor, Dr. D.G. Benakappa, Asha's father, who was a past president. In my very first executive board post in IIP, when I was just 35 years, I met Dr. Benakappa, and he showed affection on me like a daughter, and he mentored me and gave me a lot of valuable advice during the journey of my IIP till I reached the president in 2000. So Asha, let us both pay homage to your beloved father on this day. Yes,
Thank
Samir,
you.
go ahead.
Thank you
Asha,
very
you want
much.
to say something for a minute?
No, madam, thank you. I got very emotional.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Asha.
On behalf of AACCI, we had the felicitation for a guest of honor delivered through a form of a memento by senior pediatricians and AACCI volunteers, Dr. Preeti Galgali ma'am and Dr. Vimochana ma'am from Bengaluru. Here is our glimpses of that.
Namaste. I am Dr. Preeti Galgali. And I am Dr. Vimochana. We are volunteers from AACCI. It's an honor and privilege to present this memento to Dr. Asha Benakappa on behalf of AACCI. We are very grateful to Madam for accepting our invite to be the guest of honor for Padmabhushan Dr. Awardee Lele Oration, the 6th one in a row. Thank you very much, Madam.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you, Vimochana and AACCI.
These are the few glimpses, and I thank both our senior pediatricians and volunteers for their help, and thank you, Asha ma'am. Now I hand over to Dr. Prashant Karia sir to introduce the chief guest of today.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to introduce Dr. Neelam Mohan, a Central IAP President 2026. Ma'am is a rare blend of youthful enthusiasm, a mid-career mastery, and a timeless wisdom of a senior experienced leader in pediatrics. She is having a combination of innovation with experience, precision with passion, and leadership with lifelong learning. I thought to introduce her in a Neelam mnemonic only, where N stands for a national leader in pediatric and liver transplantations. National leader means IAP President 2026, President Indian Society of Pediatric Gastroenterology and Hepatology and Nutrition in 2022 and 23, and President of Commonwealth Association for Pediatric Gastroenterology and Nutrition 2022 to 25. When E comes, it is excellence in academics and clinical care. If you see, she was the first to establish the first department in country for pediatric gastroenterology, hepatology, and liver transplantations. Started the first fellowship and F&B program in India in her field. More than 1200 presentation, international more than 230 and more than 135 publication, more than 60 chapters in books, national convener of various IAP modules and contributor to them, and founder, academic council member of Indian College of Pediatrics and advisor of ICP now. E stands for empathy. As I learned from her colleagues and her students, she is compassionate at the bedside with the patients. L stands for lifelong innovator, from establishing department of creating fellowships to always ahead in the curve. At present, we are seeing the 360-degree pediatrics IAP practice guidelines, not only having chapters, but also the video recordings and the QR codes to watch it. And she has launched the two very good apps, IAP Care and IAP DG, that is there. A stands for authority. Authority which is approachable with an award recipient. She is the award recipient of BC Roy National Award by Honorable President of India for her pioneering work in liver transplant in India, a Distinguished Teacher Award by the National Board of Examination, an Eminent Doctor Personality Award by the IMA Headquarters, and she was also published in Forbes magazine 2021 as a powerful performer. And the M of Neelam stands for a mentor to many, a media voice of many, and a mission-driven physician. If you say she is having a more than 500 electronic interviews and more than 200 press interviews with wide presence in social media, and her Instagram reels are having millions of views. So with this brief introduction, I present to you Dr. Neelam Mohan, our chief guest, and request her for her address. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prashant. That was a lovely summary of all Neelam's achievements, which is not easy. So I'm now going to give you some personal introduction. I'm really very, very happy that Neelam has taken over as the president of IAP in 26. I was the president in 2000. So after 250,000 of a century, IIP has got another woman president. And I have no words to express my happiness at this happening. And especially since Neelam is the person who has got this, her vision, her dynamism, her enthusiasm, and endless capacity of work, I'm sure will take IIP to new heights. Even during this year, she has launched so many projects and she has shared everything with her. And I met Neelam first when I was the Secretary General of IIP, and I was charmed by her personality, her oratory, and over years, during various conferences, we have been co-faculty and meeting. So, Neelam, my very dear friend, I will request you to go ahead with your chief guest address.
Thank you so much, Prashant. Thank you so much, Swati. And listening to all the experts, I would just say that the true measure of the nation's progress is not in the technology, but in the health and future of the children. India is standing high in technology, and so respected dignitaries, members of the Lele family, colleagues, and dear friends, it's indeed a pleasure to be here today as the chief guest for the prestigious Dr. R.D. Lele Oration. Someone whom we just heard has been a legendary physician and a Padmabhushan awardee. What I realize is it's not only his contribution, which has come in the field of nuclear medicine, but how the family and others had to speak about him as a compassionate personality, as a complete personality who believed in a holistic approach towards life and nurtured not only generations of clinicians and scientists, but his children, like Swati was talking about, his parenting skills, and his son-in-law spoke about how he was so affectionate with his shairi. And we heard how his students enjoyed what he taught through humor in his approach. So these are the things which probably are extremely important for a person to keep evolving. And I think his life reminds us not only that the progress lies in innovation, but his ability to serve humanity. And that is what he could instill in his children. And we can see Swati for the last decades carrying out this AACCI Foundation, selflessly working for continuity of healthcare, especially for children who are the future. And in this endeavor, she made a lot of volunteers join her together in this to serve humanity, I can say at large. And today it is deeply symbolic that the oration is being given by none other than Soumya Swaminathan. We are proud of her because not only she's a pediatrician, not only a scientist, but she rose to global leadership as the chief scientist of WHO. And her journey reflects how Indian science can shape even global health policies. And I guess it's the integrity that she had that again echoes the spirit of Lele's legacy. Coming back to climate change, and as Prashant highlighted, having pioneered work through hepatology and gastroenterology, even I had realized that it is time that we need to do more for the community and moving out of the clinics. And that is why I wore this hat or cap of the IIP leadership, which I was keen to. And Climate change, fortunately, I've been doing a lot of work in it through one of my colleague who is Dr. Arvind in Medanta, who actually introduced me and made me a part of his foundation called the Clean Air. And through that, for the last half a decade or so, I've been involved in this. And when it comes to climate change, we are going to have the expert, Dr. Swaminathan, talk about it. But just a little glimpses as a specialist that, yes, it is, we know that children are biologically, because they breathe in more air and drink more water per capacity, and socially closer to the environment, they are more vulnerable than adults. And as WHO and UNICEF has shown, that 90% of the global disease burden is attributable to the climate change is borne by children under 5 years of age. In the IPI, was fortunate to moderate an entire plenary with global experts on this, and the 5 top leaders globally were on the podium when I was moderating the same session on the climate and environment change. I had the UNICEF, I had the WHO leaders, and I had leaders from UK and USA. And the stark reality is that it is not the responsibility of one or the responsibility of a team when it comes to working on climate change and environment. It is all of us need to work together on this. The reason is right from inception, like even a pregnant woman can be predisposed to a premature delivery, and the impact the climate change is going to have subsequently is what which is there. And when nutrition is something which is extremely dear to me, and if I'm allowed to make an andolan in the country, it is going to be nutrition. And I urge all those who are listening to this video, since it is to do with AACCI, which is talking predominantly on uh, public health issues and child health, I urge you all that in a country like India, which is talking to be the Vishwaguru, it's talking to be the 4th developed nation, and still we say 1/3 of our children are stunted, and every 1 centimeter loss in height, as beautifully highlighted in Pedicon by Dr. Vinod Paul, leads to a significant drop in GDP. And 1/5 of our children are wasted, and 1/3 are still underweight. And what more? 2/3 of our children are anemic, which is again talking about the efforts that need to be done. And as per UNICEF, the India has the highest burden of climate sensitive childhood diseases, which, if I start from the GI and the liver point, we know that droughts, floods, crop failures, etc., this can be indirectly leading to malnutrition, stunting, and our soil is not so rich, and therefore we are more predisposed to deficiencies like zinc and other micronutrients. And due to contamination, still India sees a significant proportion of diarrheal diseases leading to mortality under 5, which I think should be forgotten. And from the hepatology perspective, I would say that the climate change is leading to metabolic liver disease, because we have been assuming that it is just the obesity which is giving rise to fatty liver disease. But it is now clear that the environment toxins and the pollutants in the air are further predisposing to obesity and metabolic health issues. And we know the other important burden, which is the dengue, malaria, chikungunya, hepatitis A, E. All these are issues which are related to climate change, rising temperature, rainfall, etc. So in the end, I would say from the adolescent point of view, besides the physical, it is the mental health, anxiety, depression. And I would sum up by urging all the pediatricians to move beyond the clinics and work for environment. And that would be keeping the legacy of Adi Lele and this. So I would close by saying we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Neelam, for that lovely quote and a very inspiring chief guest address. Go ahead now, Samir.
Yeah. So thank you so much, ma'am. And with this, we would like to present a memento, and that was done by Dr. Sunita Manchanda and Dr. Premlata, ma'am.
Myself, Dr. Sunita Manchanda, Center in Charge, Delhi NCR, Association of Adolescent and Child Health. And along with me, there is Dr.
Premlata Krishnan. I'm the advisor of the National Capital Region for AACCI, which is Association of Adolescent and Child Health in India.
And we are here feeling privileged and happy to present memento to our National President, Dr. Neelam Mohan ma'am, who is the National President of Indian Academy of Pediatrics 2026 and kindly accepted to be chief guest for Dr. Lele's oration.
Thank you so much, Sunita. Thank you so much, Dr. It's been such a big pleasure to accept this. It's not only an honor, pleasure, privilege to be invited as the chief guest for the most prestigious Dr. Lele Oration, who none other than our beloved Soumya Swaminathan is giving the oration on 25th January 2026. Dr. Lele has been Padmabhushan and he received it in 1992 for his pioneering work in nuclear medicine and is called the father of nuclear medicine in India. What more, his legacy in clinical acumen, teaching, and human care is now being taken by his daughter, Dr. Swati Bhave. Thank you for this privilege.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you to both the chief guest and the guest of the honor for being with us for this prestigious event of our AACCI, Dr. R.D. Lele Oration. Now, moving ahead, it's time to introduce our today's orator, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. I requesting Dr. Swati Bhave madam to do the further proceeding.
Thank you, Samir. It is such a pleasure to introduce Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. Can I have the slides yeah. So we are going to give a detailed citation, which my brother, Dr. Vikram Lele, is going to read out after oration. So I'm not going to go into every detail, but just highlighting that she has come from two very prestigious institutes, AFMC and AIMS, with a fellowship in pulmonology. She was the chief scientist of WHO, first scientist, Deputy Director General of WHO, Director of National Institute of Research in Tuberculosis, Conchon Prize, Princess Chibu Global TB Award, honorary doctorates in many institutions, national and international. Next. She is a renowned pediatrician and global health leader, former Director General of ICMR, Secretary Department of Health and Research, Chairperson of the MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, Principal Advisor, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. What is even more remarkable is that majority of these positions are always given to adult physicians. And Soumya being a pediatrician, it is really a proud moment for the entire pediatric fraternity that a pediatrician could reach such high levels in the bastion where pediatrician has not entered. Coming to some personal things, I met Soumya Swaminathan when she was a very young girl. When I was the General Secretary of IAP, and we used to organize a lot of programs on tuberculosis. Dr. N. Somu, the late Dr. Somu from ICH Chennai, who's no more, was a very dear friend. And once when I was organizing a program, he said, Swati, I want you to call Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who has recently joined ICH, and she's a remarkable scientist and an excellent orator. So on his recommendation, we called Soumya. And I remember her that she charmed us in the very first meeting. Her scientific knowledge, her oratory, her charming personality, and above all, her humility. So we really said this is a star of IAP tuberculosis. And after that, she has been an integral part of all IAP tuberculosis task force, symposium, lectures, etc. Over years, we saw her getting many accolades, ICMR, Chief Scientist of WHO, and today she's a global figure. And I'm all sure all of us remember during the COVID pandemic, her calm and confident manner explaining the evolving situation gave tremendous reassurance to not only us but people all over the world, also giving us a feeling of pride that a pediatrician, a woman scientist from India, is at the helm of affairs, and that itself was extremely reassuring. In 2024, I had the privilege of attending the release ceremony of a book in Pune, which is called At the Wheel of Research. This was an exclusive biography of Dr. Soumya Swaminathan by Anuradha Mascarans, a well-known journalist from Times of India, detailing her life as a leading pediatrician, TB researcher, and a former WHO scientist. The biography covers her career, including her role during COVID-19 pandemic and her work at Swaminathan Foundation. I have an autographed copy and I enjoy reading books, and I immediately read it. And it was a very inspiring journey, and I would recommend all of you who have not read it to please read this autobiography. We have two similarities in our life. One is that we are fellow pediatricians, and second, we have a legacy to carry forward. And you all know my husband has already expressed the legendary Dr. Swaminathan, and Soumya, as is written in a biography, could have had many lucrative positions abroad after she finished her WHO tenure, but she chose to come back, and she has now taken over the mantle of this foundation which her father established. And as she told me yesterday, that this is bio-happiness, where the human beings should live in the eco-friendly atmosphere and live in harmony with the eco and the human being. So we chose this topic for her, which she gladly accepted. And we can't have a better person than Soumya to speak on this issue, because she is really a global leader and she knows the global impact of climate all over the world. Thank you, Soumya. Thank you for accepting our oration, and it's a privilege to have you. Yes, Samir.
Yes, madam. Now it's time to have the oration from Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. Madam, over to you. Dr. Soumya, madam.
Yes. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having invited me to give this oration today in honor of Dr. R.D. Lele, who is one of our foremost pediatricians and a pioneer, as has been mentioned before. So many thanks to you, Swati, and to all the speakers who spoke before me, Dr. Asha, Neelam, who gave a really good reason why we should think more about environmental health issues. So she's already set the stage for my talk. I also want to thank Swati in particular for doing what she's doing now in honor of her father to keep his legacy alive, but also after retirement or official retirement, many of us, really need to think about how we can continue to contribute to society. And I think what she's doing in terms of mentoring, capacity building, the next generation of people and inspiring them to work for child health is really commendable. So today I'm going to speak to you about the impact of climate change on children. Let me now share my my presentation. It did work earlier, so hopefully. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Share. Just
we can see it.
You can see. Let me put it in slideshow now. Okay, so I hope that is visible.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we today live in a world with a triple planetary crisis. There is biodiversity loss. We are losing species, both animals and plants, at a rate which is much more rapid than has ever happened before. About 1 million species are threatened with extinction today, and a lot of wetlands like salt marshes and mangrove swamps, which actually absorb a large amount of carbon, have actually disappeared. The main driver of this loss of biodiversity is, of course, human activity. And because we keep usurping more and more of the lands which were otherwise covered by forest or by grassland, and we use it either for agriculture or for our own development and expanding our cities and so on. And we're continuing to do that. So we are not really paying heed to this threat. The second threat is climate change, where we'll talk a little bit more about the long-term changes in temperature and how that's impacting all of life on Earth, including humans. And again, we are the ones driving it. So it's called anthropogenic global warming. And the third is air pollution. And in fact, I was really happy that Geeta Gopinath, who used to be the chief economist at the IMF and now is at Harvard University, one of the top economists in the world, just a few days ago in Davos, when she was talking about in a panel discussion on the Indian economy, she actually made the statement that pollution is a bigger threat to India's growth in GDP than tariffs. So that actually puts things in perspective, because, you know, the newspapers have been full of tariffs now for the last few months. But if you really add up all the different kinds of losses due to air pollution, that is a much bigger threat. And really leading economist saying that should make everyone really sit up and take notice. So this slide, I mean, I don't expect you all to read it, but essentially we are not able to put in one page all the weather and climate related events which have happened. And in fact, in the last year, there were so many major events, so many thousands of people died due to either flooding or due to heat waves or due to drought or due to landslides or cyclones, and so many more tens of thousands of people displaced from their homes because of these climatic events. The other thing we have to remember is that last year we finished our carbon budget by August. You know, the world has a carbon budget. If we have to maintain some balance in our global warming, which has already exceeded 1.5 degrees, but we exceeded that by August. And every year it's getting shorter and shorter. Now, what does climate change do? Basically, it exacerbates existing threats and introduces new health risks. And the sad thing is that it disproportionately affects the vulnerable populations, which of course are young children, elderly, and other marginalized communities. And I think we all know that apart from heat waves, you have changes in vector-borne diseases, you have impacts on food production, on the animal health, and so on. And when there are underlying vulnerability factors like age and gender, or socioeconomic or socio-political, or underlying health status, let's say you already have a chronic disease like diabetes or hypertension
a cup of tea?
or malnutrition, you're going to be much more impacted. So when we talk about climate change, we often hear the terms mitigation and adaptation. So maybe just to quickly go through the various terminologies used, when we talk about drivers of climate change, like I said, it's anthropogenic, it's human-induced. It's because of our energy sector. You know, we still use fossil fuels mainly for energy, though this is rapidly changing. Renewables are increasing, but still, if you look at the world, fossil fuel consumption is still on the rise. It has not yet started going down. Deforestation and land use changes, as I mentioned, for human activities, agricultural practices, very large scale farming of cattle, for example. Cattle produce a lot of methane, and they contribute a lot towards also global warming. Similarly, agricultural practices, which use a lot of pesticide, fertilizer, and so on, contributes both to, again, methane production, but also to pollution. Then the way we manage our waste, transport sector is one of the major contributors, and industrial production. So these are the drivers of climate change. These are all under our control, if you see. And climate change impacts what all is happening. The main one, of course, is rise in global temperatures, changes in the precipitation or rainfall. It's becoming unpredictable. Ocean acidification is something we don't often recognize, but this is happening. And this is killing off coral reefs. And when coral reefs die, then you're going to also lose a lot of marine biodiversity, including fish. There's sea level rise and storm surges. India has one of the longest coastlines. So all the people who live along our coastlines are being impacted. Accelerated cryospheric shrinking and alteration of soil biodiversity. These are the effects of climate change, and you can see that all these impact human health. Now, what is mitigation? Mitigation is when we try to address the drivers. We try to reduce the sources of CO2 by using better renewable energy, by afforestation and green infrastructure, doing sustainable agricultural practices, better waste management, so we're not burning our waste, carbon pricing, so that people pay for the amount of CO2 they release. Then carbon capture and storage. People like Bill Gates are investing a lot of money into innovations so that we can actually capture and store the carbon that is being released. So there's a lot of innovation happening, a lot of startups also in this space. So some of it is quite exciting because it's new science also that is being advanced. Adaptation, climate change adaptation is where we need to act now, because mitigation has to keep happening. Governments are investing. They have to do more, of course. Countries like the US are walking back their commitments, which is bad for the world. But adaptation is important for India because we are already seeing the impacts of climate change. We have to protect our populations. What do we need to do? Water harvesting. Water is going to be a major issue for us in the future. Building sea walls, again, building green shields, bioshields, not gray infrastructure, but green infrastructure. Crop diversification. Rice and wheat alone is not going to do the trick for us. We need to diversify. We need more nutritious foods. We need more legumes and pulses and millets, which are also climate smart. Agroforestry adoption, restoring degraded ecosystems. We've spoiled a lot of our ecosystem. We need to restore it. Improving irrigation efficiency. And now with AI, there's a lot of talk of improving efficiency in agriculture. If you look at countries, really, no country is doing enough to prevent dangerous climate change. Let's just say that. Of course, globally, we know that when we speak at COP and so on, developing countries and developed countries are always sort of arguing with each other in terms of who should be doing more. And clearly, the developed countries must do much more because they have so far taken up the bulk of, the carbon budget that we have, because they have done it during the last 50 or 100 years for development. The rest of the world still needs to get to that level of development. We still have a lot of poor people in Asia, in Africa, and Latin America. So it's not fair that we don't get to use that. And at the same time, we also have to recognize that for the future, for our own future, we need to invest in renewable energy. And that's what actually India has been doing. Now, if you look at global surface temperatures with a reference period of 1850 to 1900, you can see the trend very clearly. There is absolutely no denying that this is going up very, very rapidly. And if you see the last 10 years, we've had the maximum number of heat wave days in the last 10 years. And these days would not have happened without climate change. What is also worrying is the scientists are saying that the nighttime temperatures are going up even more rapidly than the daytime temperatures. And this means that usually the body tries to cool down, tries to recover during the night. So even if you're exposed during the day to high heat, at night is when your body recovers. But when the night temperatures go up and the humidity goes up, your body doesn't get that time to cool off. And then the stress on all our biological systems increases, particularly on the cardiovascular system. So the Lancet Commission, a countdown on climate change, as you know, keeps track of a large number of indicators. They come out with a report every year, and they have been showing that heat-related mortality has gone up by more than 60% since the early 90s. Similarly, food security, when actually we were approaching a rather good situation, but then the pandemic made things worse. Now there are so many conflicts, and of course there's climate change. So the number of food insecure people in the world is also going up. There are also calculations, again done by the Lancet Countdown, on the earnings lost due to heat-related reduction in labor capacity. So this is actually very serious, particularly for countries that are aspiring to grow economically, you can see that heat-related impacts on labor will have a massive impact on agriculture, construction sector, services, and manufacturing. Crop yields are predicted to reduce, particularly rain-fed rice and wheat. Soya bean, however, is projected to increase. But one thing is that rising CO2 also decreases the nutritional content of many food crops. And in fact, this is something which is being discussed more and more now, the fact that because the soils have got depleted of micronutrients, even the crops that we grow currently, whether it is rice or wheat or maize or vegetables, they don't have the same micronutrients that we had earlier. Dr. Neelam Mohan talked about malnutrition. I know Dr. Vinod Paul is very passionate about it. But what we need to realize is the solution has to come from going to the root cause, which is that we have actually been spoiling our soil and water. And because of that, it's getting impacted on what we grow and then what we eat. So not only are we consuming more pesticides and chemicals, but we are getting less nutrition. So this is why now today regenerative agriculture, or some people call it natural farming, an extreme form of that, of course, is organic farming, or you call it agroforestry. These terms are being used more and more now because of this fact that unless you address how you grow food, you can't address malnutrition. So within India, already we have states in the north and the east which have both high climate vulnerability and low adaptive capacity, because we know that already their health indicators are poor, their health systems are weaker, and therefore they're going to suffer even more. There is a rural disadvantage. Malnutrition may not go away that easily unless we take this into account. There are social inequities. ST, SC mothers and children always have worse health indicators. And we have seen also from some analysis that we've done that stunting and underweight, and this has also been in a recent UNICEF report that just came out, it actually reinforced what we also found in our analysis, that in those districts where you have recurrent droughts, you find much higher rates of stunting and underweight. And this actually makes a lot of sense. Similarly, anemia and wasting also rise with vulnerability. The underlying drivers are poor dietary diversity, so carbohydrate-rich meals, inadequate feeding practices. As pediatricians, we all know that complementary feeding is extremely important to prevent stunting, and that is where we are failing, and repeated illnesses, repeated diarrhea, repeated fevers, GI infections, all of these will, of course, contribute to malnutrition. In India, large number of districts are at high or very high risk of heat. Number of hot days is increasing. The number of warm nights is increasing even more. Urban areas can be 5 to 10 degrees warmer than surrounding areas because of the urban heat island effect. This is something that as we are urbanizing, we have to pay attention. And dense buildings, plus, of course, existing socioeconomic and health vulnerability. So if you're a person who can afford air conditioning, obviously you'll be better able to adapt than somebody who's living in a hut with a tin roof where the indoor temperature can be 5, 6, 8 degrees higher than the outdoor temperature. Now, how does climate change impact health? It's, I think, fairly obvious to us that it can impact in many different ways, because you can see at the bottom of the slide all the ecological determinants of health. We talked about soil loss, habitat and biodiversity loss, of course, extreme weather events, water shortage, sea level rise, temperature rise. Now, this has an impact on the social and structural determinants of health. It impacts housing. People are displaced. It has threats to livelihood. Education gets disrupted. Supply chains get disrupted. Health systems are obviously impacted, whether it's a decline in air quality or heat stress. Even doctors and nurses are impacted. Plus, there is damage to health infrastructure. And all of this results in the health impacts, which you see right on top, which range from heat-related illness to, mental health impacts, which again, we talk less about: anxiety, PTSD, then asthma, chronic COPD, particularly with pollution, infections, vector-borne infections, malnutrition, and migration. Now, all of this is obviously going to impact children as well. And you can see that whether it is air quality, whether it's heat, flooding, or infectious disease, children are also impacted. So the hazards we've already discussed what they could be. What are the multipliers, the factors which are made worse by climate change? Water scarcity. So, women are struggling more to get water. Food insecurity, infrastructure damage, service disruptions, displacement. And then you have the vulnerabilities, like we said, if poverty, location, the socioeconomic status. So children's well-being, impact on neurodevelopment, non-communicable diseases, injuries, infectious diseases, malnutrition, and also pregnancy complications. There's a study that's been done at THSTI Faridabad, which showed that pregnant women who are exposed to air pollution and heat, both separately and together, have a much higher risk of adverse pregnancy outcomes, including loss, intrauterine death, as well as small for babies. Education also disrupted. You know that in North India, schools were closed because of air pollution. When there's a heat wave, schools are closed. When there's a cold wave, schools are closed. Plus, there's enough evidence now that children who study in a very hot environment or who are exposed to air pollution, there's an impact on cognitive and academic performance. There's also health and nutrition related challenges, but also because families are migrating. If family can no longer earn an income in the place which is impacted by climate change and they migrate, there is more school dropout. We know of many case studies where families migrate for labor from one part of the country to another, taking their children with them. Children miss 3, 4, 6 months of school. And this leads to reduced lifetime earnings and widening educational inequality. IHME in 2021 estimated about 400,000 deaths due to high temperatures, and of these, 45,000 deaths were among children. A large part of those were children under 5. And as I mentioned, there's this report that heat can impact a child's ability to learn as well as to regulate emotions. And exposure to high temperatures lowered exam scores. Air pollution, I think there's a lot in the media. It is the largest environmental threat to human health. Particularly, we're talking about the PM 2.5, particulate matter, which is under 2.5 microns. This is the one that goes through the lungs, into the blood, into all our organs. Almost half the world's population is exposed to dangerous levels of household air pollution. This is mainly women and children, because still biomass is being used for cooking. In India, we have the Ujjwala scheme, which covered the entire country. It was a fantastic scheme. Almost everyone now has an LPG connection. However, not every family is able to afford the refills at the current prices of LPG, and therefore women are still using biomass for cooking. So the combined effects of outdoor and indoor air pollution is associated with 7 to 8 million deaths, premature deaths annually. This is the WHO data, and more than 500,000 deaths of children under 5. So you can imagine child mortality, I think, is something like, it's now under 5 million cases a year globally due to all causes. 10% of those is because contributed by air pollution, and it shortens global life expectancy by 2.2 years. In North India, the life expectancy is being shortened by much more, 5 to 8, some people even say 10 years. And also it's increasing the morbidity, not just shortening the life. So again, asthma and is the most obvious, exacerbation, but we know now that it's way beyond that. It's the heart, it's the brain, it's in fact, even diabetes, it stimulates, because air pollution causes inflammation, and inflammation promotes a lot of disease. Now, what about adolescents? There are studies now to show that a majority of Indian youth are experiencing eco-anxiety. Most of them are seeing environmental changes. You see their schools, when schools close down, that it impacts children's mental health. 50% are reporting increased stress and anxiety. So survey after survey is showing that young people's mental health is worsening. So disruptions in school closure, and even worse, drop in outdoor activities. Children cannot go out and play anymore because either heat or air pollution is so bad. They are stuck indoors, and we know that more screen time leads to worsening mental health. 70% of adolescents at this Christ University study showed pessimistic views. And as I mentioned, extreme heat exposures has also been linked to lower cognitive function. So about 1 billion children, or half the world's children today, live in extremely high-risk countries. And you can see that our part of the world, South Asia, and also a large part of sub-Saharan Africa is a very high-risk area. Now, I want to say a few words about the studies that we've been doing. We started by doing this scoping review. In 2024, we came out with this report where we basically looked at data that already exists in India, and we wanted to look at what are the implications on women and children across different agroecological zones. So the unique thing about this was we tried to look at it from the perspective of agroecological zones, not state or district boundaries. This was both looking at quantitative data, but also qualitative. We did a large number of regional consultations with women's groups, with civil society organization, and we came up with certain high-level findings about the fact that women definitely experience disproportionately higher health risks, both from heat and air pollution. Pregnant women even more so. We found a direct correlation between natural disasters and gender-based violence, very, very strong correlation. Livelihoods of especially rural agricultural women are being threatened, but even urban women are being impacted because many of them are migrants. Children's health and education was severely impacted. We did say that we need more research, more data, sharing between departments, more frameworks to look at this in a more integrated way. There is a lot of scope for innovations, to protect individuals, but also at the household and community level to reduce the impacts of climate change on health and well-being. So right now we're working on a project with a few partners to develop an early warning tool, which is based not only on temperatures alone, but also on humidity, on wind speed, on other climatic variables, using AI to be able to predict what's going to happen in the next, say, 10 to 20 days, but also incorporating biological variables. For example, a temperature and humidity of a certain level is going to impact a young man of 25 differently than it's going to impact a 75-year-old woman or a pregnant woman or an infant. So we need that context. If the temperature is 40 degrees, are you at high risk? Are you at medium risk or low risk? So our idea is that we collect a lot of biological data in addition to the climate variables, and then we build algorithms and build an early warning prediction tool, which can be used by people, like very simple app, to say, okay, in the next 10 days, this is what is going to happen in your locality, and therefore these are the actions that you need to take. So we actually looked at climatic data in this report. We also superimposed NFHS data on it. And, we were able to basically say which are the agroecological zones where they'll be impacted by drought or by heat, and of course also air pollution. Now, if you look at the data on children, when we compared the NFHS data, 2 rounds of NFHS, that was 4 and 5, and we took those districts that have been repeatedly exposed to drought in the last 10 years or flood or cyclone. These numbers here are showing you by what percentage the risk increased. So underweight in children went up by 10% in drought-prone districts. Minimum dietary diversity dropped by 28%. Under 5 child deaths was 6% higher. Diarrhea among children was 20% higher. Child immunization dropped by 18%. Similarly for floods and cyclones. When we look also at the exposure, same exposures, to drought in urban or rural areas, again, you can find, that there are very significant changes that are happening. So essentially, we've also got a lot of data like this on women as well as children. So I'm only showing you a little bit of this data, but I think this is data that was already there. It was retrospectively analyzed. What we also need is more prospective studies to document these relationships between climate and agriculture, nutrition and health indicators. But also we need to find solutions. I think it's not enough to just document it. We need to find ways where decisions can be taken at the local level, at the city level or panchayat level, where the collector and the district officials actually can anticipate and take some corrective action to prevent these kind of things from happening. You see, I haven't shown you the women indicators, but we found that young girl marriage increased, teenage pregnancies increased, gender-based violence increased, antenatal checkups reduced with the same NFHS figures. So, which means that we're not going to reach the SDG goals if we do not pay attention to the impacts of climate change, because it's setting us back. We were doing, good things. Our health systems were improving. We were trying to improve all our indicators, but climate change is something that, could set us back. So essentially, I think, in terms of actions, I think clearly the country is taking already actions, but all countries need to do it. It's not enough for a few countries to do it. Unless all countries reduce emissions to meet the 1.5 degrees centigrade threshold that was agreed on at the Paris Climate Conference in 2015, we are in for trouble. Because once the world, that's what the scientific consensus is, that 1.5 degrees is the highest we should go. We cross that, we enter an age of uncertainty. We do not know in the future what the climate can look like and what it can do to us. Now we've already are close to the 1.5 degrees. It is believed that by 2030, we would have already crossed the 1.5. Now the scientists are saying, let's try our best, keep it as low as possible. Under 2, every 0.1 degree centigrade that we are able to keep lower will benefit us. So even if we don't make it 1.5, can we stop at 1.6? But it doesn't look like it. The world is not on track. So obviously all these energy transitions and emission controls are important. Modern fuels and technologies, particularly for cooking, I think that's a low-hanging fruit for us. We should be able to scale up LPG so that every household can afford it. Therefore, women and children are not exposed unnecessarily to the smoke, indoor pollution that's contributing to outdoor pollution. Climate education program in schools, active mobility. Our transport systems completely need to be modernized, public transport, so that we're not all taking our cars on the road and adding to pollution and adding to traffic. Sustainable diets, eat local food, and healthy food, fresh food rather than ultra-processed. Our food practices have changed. We've seen the latest data from the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. 10% of household income in both rural and urban areas now going to ready-to-eat and ultra-processed foods. This is not good for our health, particularly for children, because obesity is going up as well. Then we have to invest in green infrastructure, decarbonization, health system also. In Tamil Nadu, there was an experiment of putting solar on government schools that reduced the expenditure on electricity. And by greening the roofs, we can also bring down the temperatures within our health centers, within our schools and so on. So these are all things, if we set our mind, we can do it, fairly straightforward to do. So these are all known technologies. Then how do we protect children? Obviously, early warning is one that I talked about, both the caregivers and the teachers and the providers. But mental health is also going to be important. We have to not make children so depressed and anxious. So health workers, parents, teachers, and peers, and I think Dr. Swati is already doing some of this kind of work to make the children and adolescents more resilient. And of course, this needs to be done across the life course. Then we need now new models of insurance, emergency and disability benefits. There is some ideas of parametric insurance that have been tried in 1 or 2 places in India, where you pay a small premium. But if there is, let's say, a prolonged heat wave and you can't go to work, let's say you're an outdoor construction labor or you are a vegetable vendor and you're not able to go and do your work because of the heat, you will get an insurance payout, what is called the parametric insurance. And humanitarian action wherever, of course, there are people displaced due to climate emergencies. Now, what is we all as pediatricians need to really prioritize child health and well-being and climate policy investment and action. I think we need to mobilize the voice of pediatricians, which is so far has been missing. We need more evidence generation, vulnerability assessments, and knowledge to action, that is impact on policy. So finally, I think these are my last two slides. Building a heat resilient health system. For India, there's a group of us that actually had come together and made some suggestions. We had a lot of discussion. Essentially, we said the path forward must be gender transformative and community driven, because only then can heat resilience be just, equitable, and lasting. So communities must be part of finding up the solutions. Primary healthcare is going to be extremely important, because most of the problems need to be addressed at the level of primary health care. So whether this is in a pediatrician's office, or whether this is in a government health center or a private facility, we need to integrate heat preparedness. If you get someone who have a heat stroke, unless you can cool them immediately, that person is either going to die or is going to be permanently disabled. We need to redesign clinical care, improve case management. More training is going to be needed. I think many of us have not been trained in how to deal with someone who's exposed to heat. So the science also here is improving. Building a climate-ready health workforce, updating the curricula and in-service training to equip all levels of providers with skills, weaving heat resilience into every national health program, like maternal health or non-communicable disease, vector-borne disease. Every program needs to really think, how is this climate change impacting me, and what do I need to do to adapt to that? We'd already talked about building heat resilient infrastructure and governance. Any new buildings that are being built, let's think of them from a climate perspective and say, is this the right building for this climate? Our cities, if you see, everything is now high rise with a lot of glass, cement, concrete, and steel. That is not actually a climate friendly way to build for the kind of weather that we have. Then prioritizing equity. So any community level interventions like cool roofs or community cooling centers that we do, let's do it to protect the vulnerable and marginalized populations first. Let's do this in areas where the poorer parts of the population live in the city. And of course, we need more investment into budgets. And there's a lot of climate finance, but not a lot of that climate finance is actually coming for adaptation measures. So this is just a schematic that I'd like to end with. It's a solution for air pollution here on this slide, but it's also a solution for reducing our greenhouse gas emissions, making our cities more livable. We are seeing the impacts on our cities of not just air pollution, but water pollution, solid waste management, too many chemicals and pesticides in the runoffs. Our rivers are all dying, so I think we have not paid attention to our environment as we are developing our cities. And the realization that all of us need to have, including our policymakers, India cannot be an economic powerhouse. We cannot be a very economically efficient and productive nation if our health is going to be impacted. If we are going to be sick with infections, we're going to be sick with malnutrition, we're going to have chronic disease because of all of these exposures, we are not going to be able to be, our labor will not be productive, and we are going to miss out on our human capital. And as pediatricians, we are responsible for the human capital of the next generation. The babies being born today in 2026 is going to be 21 years old in 2047, which is the year that India celebrates 100 years of independence. So the babies born today, physical and mental cognitive capital is our responsibility. And so these other environmental factors are going to be as important as what we do, in terms of actual medical interventions. I believe that these social and environmental and economic determinants of health are actually where we need to be paying a lot more attention. And I hope that the IAP will be a champion, a leader, and a spokesperson for the sake of our children, their health, and of course, our country. Thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with you all. And I do hope that we can all work together, that we can all become champions, because I truly believe that at least I am going to spend the rest of my career advocating to attend to these kind of risk factors for human health. Thank you very much. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, Soumya. I'm sure you have inspired IAP. We had Neelam Mohan as our president, and I'm sure she will take your points into action. And IAP will do something very substantial on the climate effect on children. And through AACCI, if we can do something, I'll have a talk with you. At least we can do some capacity building and awareness. And let's see what AACCI also can do in a small way. But I'm sure IAP will take a note. We have so many IAP leaders, and IAP will take forward this very, very important climate change effect, because we have now 50,000 members, and together a lot can be done by IAP for the pediatricians of today. Thank you so much, Samir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Swati.
Yes, madam. And Dr. Soumya, madam, it's really a wonderful oration, and it's really our privilege that you are the one of the excellent orator of this our Dr. Lele oration of 2026. Now it's time to felicitation of the orator with the oration plaque and the citation. And my sincere thanks to Dr. Narmada Ashok and Dr. Rima Chandra to deliver on behalf of AACCI to madam.
Hi, I'm Dr. Narmada from Vellore. We are very happy to present today to Dr. Soumya Swaminathan for having accepted to give the oration, the very prestigious oration, the Lele oration here. And along with me is Dr. Rima Chandraman, former director of AACCI. Ma'am, thank you so much for accepting.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure.
On behalf of AACCI, we are very happy to present to you.
Thank you very much.
Just a few words.
So it's really my honor and pleasure. I must thank Dr. Swati Bhave for having invited me to deliver the oration in honor of her father this year, 2026. I'm really looking forward to it on January 25th. And I also really want to thank all of you for your very thoughtful gesture and consideration for coming down in person and giving me this lovely plaque. Since the whole program is an online program, I think this is the only opportunity we get to meet in person and physically. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. And this is a few glimpses of the award ceremony. Now it's time to give a citation reading, and that will be done by Dr. Vikram Lele, sir, the son of the Dr. Lele, to madam.
On behalf of AACCI, we are honored to give a citation to Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, and I am happy to read this citation out. AACCI is privileged to confer the 6th late Dr. R.D. Lele Oration for the year 2026 upon Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, an internationally acclaimed pediatrician, physician, scientist, and public health leader, whose work has transformed child health and global research. With an illustrious career spanning over 4 decades, she has made seminal contributions to tuberculosis and HIV science, health systems research, and evidence-based policy making. Dr. Swaminathan served as WHO's first chief scientist. During her tenure, she established the science division focusing on research, quality assurance of norms and standards, and digital health. She played a pivotal role in coordinating global scientific efforts and was instrumental in setting up COVAX to ensure equitable vaccine distribution to low and middle income countries during the COVID-19 pandemic. As Director General of the Indian Council of Medical Research and Secretary, Department of Health Research, she strengthened India's scientific capabilities and fostered international collaborations of lasting impact. A fellow of major Indian, US, and UK science academies, she has authored more than 480 publications. She has been honored with multiple prestigious national and global awards, including honorary doctorates from the Karolinska Institute, EPFL Lausanne, and McGill University. Currently, she serves as chairperson, MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, and principal advisor to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. AACCI is proud to honor her distinguished contribution as she delivers the 6th late Dr. R.D. Lele Oration for the year 2026 on the topic Effect of Climate Change in Children and Adolescents on 25th January 2026.
Thank you, sir, for the citation reading. So before we conclude the vote of thanks, I hand over the mic to the Dr. Swati Madam.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I would really like to thank all the three dignitaries, our orator, our chief guest, and our guest of honor. And I wanted to thank the AACCI team, Dr. Samir Shah, Dr. Sandeep Kaude, and Prashant, who are like this Trimurti of AACCI and take all the burden of this oration every year. All of you must have noticed that this time, it was not planned at all, but this time it became Nari Shakti. We had the chief guest, the guest of honor, and the orator all being women. And all the women who the delivered memento also were women. So it was not planned, but this happened to be like all women's forum. And fortunately, we had two balance, the three men pediatricians, Sandeep, Samir, and Prashant. So it did not become an all-woman show. Now, after this vote of thanks, the formal session of Dr. AACCI oration will be over. And then we'll have an informal chat session for those who want to stay back and make any comments. Normally, after oration, question answers are not allowed. But in this informal session, if Soumya would like to stay back, because I'm sure there'll be many questions which you'd like to ask Soumya. So Soumya, if you don't mind and you can stay back after the vote of thanks, I'm sure many people would like to ask you some questions, because this opportunity of getting the chief scientist of WHO and a person like you to answer our queries, I don't want to miss out on it. So would you stay back after the vote of thanks and answer some question answers?
Yes, I can stay back for 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so we'll have the vote of thanks and then the formal session will be over. And those who want to stay back for an informal chat, normally we keep this informal chat for those who want to discuss or share anything about Dr. Lele. But we'll first have Dr. Soumya answering questions. And after she goes back, if you want to talk something, you can do it. Go ahead, Samir.
Right. So now the formal ending of the today's event by the vote of the thanks by our AACCI secretary, Mrs. Sharmila Lele.
Good morning. As Secretary of AACCI, it is my pleasure to give a vote of thanks. First, we thank orator for today's 6th Dr. R.D. Lele Oration, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, former Chief Scientist, WHO, and pediatrician for accepting our invitation and delivering a very inspiring lecture on a globally important topic. We thank the Chief Guest, Dr. Neelam Mohan, IAP President 2026, for gracing the occasion and giving an excellent address. We thank Guest of Honor, Dr. Asha Benakappa Nandakumar, for gracing us by delivering the address. We thank Dr. Narmada, Dr. Rima Chandra, Dr. Sunita Manchanda, Dr. Premalata Krishnan, Dr. Preeti Galgani, Dr. Vimochana for spending time to personally deliver mementos to our dignitaries on behalf of AACCI and create beautiful videos in Chennai, Delhi, and Bangalore. Mrs. Jayashree Ranare, niece of Dr. R.D. Lele, for her melodious recitation of Saraswati Mandana as per every year. Dr. Samir Shah, AACCI National Coordinator for planning and conducting and comparing this whole digital program with his meticulous planning. Like the last 5 years, he has couriered the mementos from Vadodara. Dr. Sandeep Kaude, in charge of AACCI National Parent Forum and AACCI PCB Center, co-comparing along with Dr. Samir Shah and Dr. Prashant Karia, in charge AACCI National Youth Forum and AACCI Surat Center. All the AACCI volunteers who are members of the AACCI family, for circulating the banner and link of the oration and registering for the event. And last but not the least, for all the participants for sparing time and logging in for the event and multiplying our joy. As you all have been closely associated with late Dr. R.D. Lele as either students, friends, or colleagues. The Lele and Bhave families will always remember your presence on this very important occasion. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Mrs. Sarmila Madam. And this is the just glimpse of the award ceremony. And now we are ending our formal session of the Dr. R.D. Lele 6th oration. Thank you.
Okay, now we open the forum for any question answers. Please keep putting in the chat box with your name. Sandeep and Prashant will handle the chat box questions. So I'm putting the first question. Soumya, what would you want pediatricians in the clinical practice? What this IAP is going to do is an association. What can I individually, as a pediatrician, what can we do to help this?
Yeah, thank you, Swati. I think that in our assessment, when we do our clinical examination, history taking and all that, we need to pay more attention to the other determinants of health. So how does the family live? Where do they live? What kind of occupation do they have? Do they migrate? Do they have access to clean water, sanitation? Maybe they're exposed to air pollution. One of the suggestions that is coming from some people is that AQI should be something that we're all looking at as we do our clinical assessments, because it could explain a lot of the health issues that people are being exposed to. And then make suggestions also as to how those kids could be protected and what are the, some of the preventive actions that parents can take. A lot of things individuals may or may not be able to do, but at least awareness, generating that awareness, and I think paying more attention to mental health issues, and as well as the beginnings of childhood obesity. We see that the food habits of children and adolescents is changing very rapidly. We can also advocate with schools, I think, in our own localities, to ensure that they provide healthy meals and that the school canteens do not keep, unhealthy, high fat, high salt and high sugar kind of products. And wherever we speak to groups of either their parents or when we give talks, I think doing this. So I think in the clinic, what you can do is with individual children and their families, but also to broader audiences, I think just raising these issues, because people are not thinking about it as much as we should be.
Thank you, Soumya. Just to give information to other people, WHO and IP had come out with a diploma in child and environment health. I was one of the first diploma passing. And there Ruth Edsel from WHO had given us what is known as a green page in history taking. And this was a 2-page questionnaire which she had asked every pediatrician to keep as a part of the history taking. And this was a wonderful questionnaire which covered the entire eco-environment of that child. What was in the house, asbestos, etc., whatever they do. And those who are interested, we can share that green page, because that is something we can do as individuals in our clinical practice. And Soumya, IAP is doing wonderful work on what you said. We have an NCT chapter, and Dr. Upendra Kinswadkar had started a Sarva Swasthya Yojana. And through this, workshops have been conducted all over the country for educating school children about prevention of obesity, junk food, and efforts have been made for this chapter to make school and college canteens eco-friendly with healthy food. And Dr. Shailaja Mane has started this in the D.Y. Patil Medical College, the medical college canteen. She's changed it into healthy food.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah. Any questions, Sandeep? Just take up the questions.
There's a
Sandeep, unmute.
Comment about more research in medical colleges, and that the research funding from IAP is almost nothing. So, ICMR is really expanding its research in medical colleges. They have something called the multidisciplinary research units, and all medical colleges can apply for it, including now private also. They've opened it up to private as well as government medical colleges. They also have a network of model rural health research units. So I totally agree with you that research in medical colleges needs to be further strengthened. And ICMR grants are increasing in number. Their budget has gone up. So I urge everyone to apply to ICMR for funding. They have small grants, intermediate grants, centers for advanced research, different kinds of funding modules. We need a lot more pediatric research happening.
I think Preeti had asked about some tools. Just read that, Sandeep. She wanted to know, are there any tools for...
Yes. We have a screening tool for eco-anxiety and nostalgia. Question from Preeti Galgali, ma'am.
Good question. I'm not sure that we have one for eco-anxiety, but obviously these surveys have been done, so there must be, but I don't know whether there's like a validated tool to be used in the clinic, a simple one. But I'll try and find out.
Asha ma'am has commented that oil used for cooking ultra-processed foods and breastfeeding should be the priority for.
Absolutely. Ultra-processed foods really, I think, is the biggest threat to health. The Lancet Commission on Ultra-Processed Foods was just released 2 or 3 days ago in Delhi. And we had a lot of Indian commissioners on that commission, extremely important.
The question from Dr. Rao, how to educate parents effectively on adolescent nutrition one-to-one in a clinical practice.
You know, I think that to educate children, it's more important to do learning by doing. Giving lectures on nutrition, as we all know, you know, many times we listen to things and it goes out of your head immediately. But when you've actually done something or experienced something, then that stays with you. So I think having nutrition gardens in schools, having cooking classes, practical demonstrations, children actually spending some time tending, and the government actually does have a program of Poshan Vatikas. I don't think it's widely implemented though. And in private schools, I'm not sure that it's taken up at all. I would think that that's really the way to go. And while children are doing that, you can talk to them about why certain foods are healthy or unhealthy, rather than having, you know, more official curricula in the classroom.
Soumya, I also want to tell you that we have a very vibrant child and environment chapter. I was the chairman for 4 years long back. And this chapter is doing wonderful work on doing eco-friendly schools, eco-friendly conferences. Dr. Ramesh Banjania, who's here, was also the chairman of the chapter. And I think we should call you once in this chapter also to sort of guide us, because this chapter is really doing wonderful work.
That's wonderful to know. Yeah.
Dr. Parmesh had founded this from Bangalore. Yes. Any other questions?
No, there are comments.
Yeah, everybody is really very happy and really enjoyed. It was a very, very inspiring lecture. And we had excellent orator, and we had Neelam Mohan for a very inspiring chief guest address, and Asha for a very inspiring breastfeeding and impact on the climate and eco-friendly. So it was an excellent academic session overall. And thank you so much for all three of you for gracing the occasion.
Thank you. Thank you, Swati.
Yeah, Green Army project for schools is conducted in schools by the chapter. Yes. Thank you, Soumya. I think, Samir, we can now call it a day. Samir, unmute.
Yeah, now officially we can conclude this session, because no much question, only comments are there, and we can continue. Going to get such a comment, because such a lucid lecture of the oration, and of course the excellent comment by our chief guest and the guest of honor. So my sincere thanks to all the participants of the today's oration presence, and my sincere thanks to all our AACCI volunteers who have helped us a lot to make this oration live and giving all the opportunity to deliver such type of the stuff on regular basis. Thank you, and sincere thanks to all the volunteers who had given the oration memento and chief guest and the guest of honor memento to them in a physical way. Thank you.
Yes, Sandeep Prashant, you want to say something?
No, ma'am, thank you so much. No, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really wonderful. And in time, we finished perfectly in 2 hours, before time, actually.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful to hear Swaminathan Madam, and it is an honor and privilege to be part of this program. Thank you very much.
Okay, any participants wants to say something? We have 5 minutes since we have finished before time.
Thank you, Swati ma'am, for wonderful session. You made our morning session a really useful one. My request would be to come out with green page and request to Neelam ma'am so that that can reach to a common pediatrician who can use in the daily practice, because most of the diseases now we know that the root goes to environment. So
Yeah.
we have been at AACCI doing this thing, but I think now it's time that a common pediatrician across the country, they start using green page. So
Yes.
that is that could be a big takeaway from today's session, I think.
Yes, Ramesh, when I first learned about the green page in 2010, I had been using it for practice, and I think we should really propagate that. That will really help all the pediatricians to really have an impact on the thing. Yashwant, you want to say something? Unmute.
Yeah. No, I think it was an excellent lecture and much learning, at least for me, especially on the food aspect, because processed food, we have been always saying we have stored processed food in our house completely, or in Dr. Lele's house also. The other thing is bringing outside food, which is not processed, but not home cooked food. I think food and healthy habits are the most important part. In fact, it is said, the PM Canada said in response to what Trump mentioned about 100% tariff, I liked his statement. He said, control what you can. So that, I think, is a very important message, that we can control what is in our hand, in our own way. Thank you.
Thank you. Vikram, Ajinkya, Sujata, anybody wants to say something?
Yes, I want to say 2 minutes, man.
Yeah.
In our long journey of taking care of children and adolescents, today's session was very inspiring. How to teach and how to train the adolescent one-to-one. There is a need for change in the behavior of the parents, how to give them food at home. I've seen recently, I visited the rural area and seen. Thank you for inspiring, and we will do all the tools and interventions to promote it. It's our moral responsibility. Thank you.
Sandeep has put the green page on the chat box. Those who want can copy and download. Yes, anybody else? Vikram?
Dr. Preeti,
Yeah, Preeti, please.
Yes, madam, thank you so much. Wonderful session. I just want to say we have to walk the talk and make our conferences green first. I think that's really important. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, the environment chapter has been really struggling and trying to do this for the last 3-4 years. Yes. Ajinkya, Vikram, anything you want to do? Okay.
Nothing from my side.
Okay. Okay, so nobody has anything to say. Now we can really log off.
Right, madam. So have a good Sunday, and we will meet again in the next year, in the January, with one of the excellent topic of next oration. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And happy Republic Day to everybody in advance. Tomorrow is our...
Thank you, madam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye.